Is it different playing in Boston for any reason? Are their fans different? Is it a different environment than a lot of places?
Boston's one of the rowdy cities, like one of the rowdy environments. There's a lot of places that will be full, but there's a lot of people it's full for different reasons, like Boston's fun. They have a great crowd. They're ready to get behind their team. There's been moments where I've been on a team where there's a decent lead, and then they make one shot, and the place just erupts, and you're like, man, they're going to come back. You just feel it, So it's a great place to play, and especially in the playoffs.
Kyle, both you guys and Boston have gone through some trials this year. Boston, they lost their 2 top players. You guys have been a mix of injury and the normal chaos. What do you think is tougher on a team? Devastating injury or what you guys have had?
I don't know. They're different. I don't know which one's tougher. Neither one's ideal. But I tell you what, they have. They're still really, really good. They're not. I mean, especially us, we all respect Kyrie and what he's capable of doing, especially in a playoff game. But they've really stepped up, and I don't really see they're lacking at any position. They roll out. They'll have 5 guys out there at all times who can all play. They're all athletic. They can switch a lot of things. They're versatile. So even though they lost 2 really good players, they're not lacking for talent. They're not lacking for playmakers or anything. Our seasons just felt like 4 seasons. So which one's harder? I'm not sure I can say one's harder than the other, but neither one's ideal.
Would you say you guys have survived what's happened to you? Like, how do you characterize where you are now against all the stuff you've went through?
I think we've just had to keep evolving. Survived is a word that you could probably use. I mean, it felt like we were just trying to get through certain parts of the season. But I think I like where we're at right now. I think we're playing our best basketball. The last series, I felt like that was the best that we played all season. Even when we won 16 games in a row or whatever it was early in the season, I didn't feel like we were playing the best basketball. We were just kind of getting by and winning. I thought the last series we played good basketball, so I like where we're at.
Ty seems to like to hold things back from the playoffs, whether it's defensive scheme or sets or whatever. And he was saying the other day he practices things in practice that he's not going to use until the playoffs. Is that common? You've been on a lot of playoff teams, a lot of franchises. Is the way he operates and the way that he points toward the postseason, is that common with other coaches, or is there something different about the way he does it?
I think you want to, have a few surprises, a few things, a few tricks up your sleeve. I don't know if lineups has ever been something that a coach has held back the team that I've been on. Usually it's like a play or a set or a out-of-bounds play, an ATO or something. This is the first time that lineups have been saved for playoffs, I would say.
Golden State's also done that with that starting 5 unit. They've kind of held back from that lineup too. Do you think could add some link to the repetitive nature of making it through those postseason runs year to year to year, and you feel like you have to hold something back?
Yeah, I mean, there's probably something to that. I think there's something to regular seasons are really long. And if you keep on riding the same group all the time, other teams can figure out strategy, can kind of, there's something to it. I think, both teams, there's players that, have a lot of miles on them, and maybe you're trying to save them more for different moments. There's obviously something to it if, teams that have been in the finals the last couple of years are doing that.
What have you seen out of your old teammate Al Horford this playoff run for Boston?
He's the ultimate teammate. He comes to work every day. Doesn't say a lot. When he says something, it means something. Always very respectful to the entire team. He has without saying a lot, everyone on the team would look to him as being a leader just because of how he holds himself and how he works every day. He's like a Swiss Army knife. He does everything. The thing that stood out to me so far in his playoffs is probably how aggressive he's been to score. Usually he kind of just takes whatever the game gives him, but it feels like as I watch their games, he's been more aggressive, trying to get his, just because he knows the team needs it a little more maybe right now. But he's really versatile. He can guard. I mean, he's guarding Ben Simmons in the last series. He'll guard Kevin in this series. He can shoot. He's shooting the three really well. He's a great playmaker. He's a really good passer. He sees the floor well. In the pick and roll, he can go for lobs or he can pop back for the three. He's able to kind of do it all. And but I would say the thing I've seen out of him the most is just how aggressive he's been to try to score in the playoffs so far.
Keep referring back to it, but that Indiana series was really physical. Do you think that physicality mirrors more what Boston does than what Toronto did last series?
Probably. Yeah, I think Boston's better than Indiana. As much as as much respect as we have for Indiana, obviously it took us to 7. I think defensively Boston is elite. They're really good. They're always in the right spot. They have a great game plan. They've got guys that just have a high IQ on the defensive end, and guys that just mix it up. They just play really hard. So for sure, I mean, Indiana series just prepared us for the playoffs in a lot of ways. So now that we're through that series, we're glad.
Kyle, you guys went into the playoffs with this rotation that you guys really had not had a chance to really see how it was going to play out on the floor because of the injuries. You guys go into the playoffs and now have won 7 out of your last 8 games. What do you attribute to the gelling so quickly and the, as you mentioned earlier, playing your best basketball?
Yeah, I mean, basketball is analyzed on so many levels now. They break down the game in every single way. But chemistry is something you can't just put together. You have to kind of develop that over time. And I think we just needed it. We needed more time. We needed to be healthy. And then once you do get healthy, I think for us it's just how do we all stay in motion? How do we all be threats? And that's the biggest key for us. To not just watch LeBron. There's times when we're supposed to space and let him go to work, but how do we have a good balance of that? And I think in the last series is probably the best job we did of that. And I think when we are balanced and we are all aggressive, that's when the Cavs are the best that they can be. And I thought we did that in the last series.
Ty has talked over the last couple of series about the importance of eliminating one specific guy from the game plan, Derozan, Oladipo. When you're playing against a team like Boston that's got so much balance and so much depth, how does the defensive challenge change?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to pick a focal point on Boston because they do have so many threats, and they've had 4 or 5 guys get 20 points in several games in the playoffs. So you can't just lock into one guy. We have to be good all around. We're not trying to give away all of our secrets before game 1. But I think this will be we'll have to have our best defensive series this series.
It was like 3 days after the trade. You guys had that game in Boston where you played well. Was that, I don't want to call it a turning point or anything, but was that an important win just from the standpoint that it gave a glimpse of what was possible with this group?
At the time, that's how we felt. And then we didn't play as well after that. We walked out of that game, really excited. And then there's All-Star break, and then it wasn't quite as good after that for a while. But all the guys that came in, I thought played really well in that game. All of our new guys, and you saw kind of all of our new pieces in action. So I think hopefully we go back to that game now and see some of those things, and try to find ways to get everybody going.
It's the postseason. I think every game is a must-win.
Every moment is big in the playoffs. That's on all of our minds.
I live for those moments.
I go out there every night and fight and try to help this team win.
We know what we're capable of. We look forward to even more of a challenge.
Giving it your all, leaving it all out on the floor.
It takes toughness, grit.
Do whatever it takes to help us win.
I'll do whatever it takes for this team.
Whatever it takes.
Don't take these moments for granted.
Be a part of the Eastern Conference Finals. Get your tickets at Cavs.com/tickets.